All right, are people here?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on fostering summer learning through Minecraft. My name is Katie Salen. I am the co-founder and chief designer at Connected Camps. We are a nonprofit organization that runs online learning programs for kids, primarily inside of Minecraft. And I'm really pleased to welcome Jeff and video games from Common Sense Media. Jeff is a sort of amazing resource about all things video games, and through his work with Common Sense Media also has a lot of really smart things to say about how parents might think about gaming and gaming time with their kids. So Jeff, do you want to add anything to your introduction about you or about Common Sense Media?
Well, thanks a lot, Katie. That's very gracious of you. Common Sense Media, we're an organization, a nonprofit organization that rates, educates, and advocates reasonable media use for parents and kids trying to navigate the media landscape. So having interest in anything from books and movies to TV shows, video games, things like that, but also having a sensible approach to managing your media usage and your approach when it comes to technology and exploration of media landscape in the 21st century.
Yeah, it's great. And one reason that we at Connected Camps are really interested in doing this webinar with Common Sense is that both of our organizations hear a lot from parents. How do they manage gaming time? How should they think about the summer months? We're just beginning to enter into the summer. It's a time when kids do have more time to play games, and parents just have a lot of questions around, is that time they should take advantage of? If so, how might they take advantage of it? And so we thought this webinar, we could, through the lens of Minecraft, which is one game that's very popular among kids, talk about some strategies that you as a parent might use. And also for those of you that are new to Minecraft, maybe fill you in a little bit on some of the resources that both of our organizations have developed to sort of support parents in really connecting with their kids around their gaming interests. So one of the through lines today is not just how to support and understand your kids' play of Minecraft, but ways of thinking about how you can turn gaming time into learning time and also kind of productive family time, because playing games as a family is also something we love to do personally and advocate for a lot. So we're going to walk through a couple of questions today. And the first one is a really basic question for those of you that are maybe new to Minecraft, which is how do you know if Minecraft is right for your child? And so I'm going to let Jeff field this one.
Yeah, so this is actually a great question. This is something that I've had asked to me many times, whether it's in the middle of giving speeches to or talks to schools or just picking up emails from readers. One of the easiest ways to kind of tell is based off of some of the interests that your kids happen to have. Are they interested in possibly learning to be a game designer? Are they interested in expressing themselves creatively? Are they interested in playing with their friends? A lot of these elements are items that you really find work very well within the Minecraft universe, primarily because a lot of those values are really built in and are fundamental to the gameplay of Minecraft itself. In fact, much of the community really has kind of locked onto the various modes that Minecraft provides, and really fosters this interesting spirit both of adventure, teamwork, but also creativity and imagination, which is one of the reasons why Minecraft has really taken off and has remained so popular among kids and parents and educators alike.
Yeah, I mean, we often hear from parents and also from the kids that we work with that Minecraft is just an incredibly flexible game. And it's kids can almost do whatever they want to do with it. So it isn't a kind of game that requires a particular kind of play. Kids are really able to, if they're just interested in building, as you know, there's a mode where they can do that and just build. If they're interested in more the competitive piece, there's a mode where they can do that. And it's also a game that I think kids can grow and change with, because there are ways to go deep into the game as well as ways to sort of stay on the surface. And in our programs, we tend to work with kids between the ages of 8 and 13 is our sweet spot. But we often get questions from parents with kids that are 6 or 7 years old. that say, our kid is really into Minecraft. Is it possible that they could be in your program? So we definitely see kids in the sort of younger ages being able to not only play Minecraft, but do it in a fairly sophisticated way, which is exciting. So one of the things we talk about is in order to participate in programs we might have with Minecraft, we will always ask questions about, well, do they have some kind of keyboarding skills?
Mm-hmm.
As Minecraft does use a chat, and when kids are in a multiplayer situation where there might be other kids in the game, the ability to use chat can be really powerful for them. So some keyboarding skills, some just a ability to communicate and express their needs kind of verbally too is also kind of a really important thing. But beyond that, Minecraft really supports all levels of players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the best reasons of the fact that Minecraft is considered a sandbox game. Basically, for parents that might not necessarily know that term, a sandbox game is essentially a title in which you really do have a certain amount of free play and free expression. The world is very open, and a lot of what you can think of, you pretty much have the opportunity to do. And Minecraft really kind of takes that definition and heightens it to the nth degree, if you will, primarily because of things like all of the modes that it offers. I mean, like you were saying, Katie, one of the things is that if you've never played it before and you're interested, you can just hop into Spectator Mode and just watch other people playing. And that way you can also get a sense of, what people are doing, how they're doing it, why they happen to be moving to a certain location or mining a certain resource or trying to build a particular item, either alone or with other people. You can dive totally into some of the creative mode and explore how you're going to build different objects, different structures. You're going to try to create things that maybe you've never even thought were possible in a game world because you don't necessarily have a lot of programming background, but all of a sudden the tools are really right there, and it's very tactile, it's very visual, it's really, really easy to understand, instead of necessarily having to spend a lot of time learning a lot of programming language, diving into a lot of the classes that more programming focused people may be initially interested in or leaning towards. So it can also be a nice stepping stone in that way for people that have interest, but they're not entirely sure how to go about it. For those that are really interested in just diving in and playing, well, adventure mode is right there. It's always waiting for them. It's always ready to go. But even on the other side, you also get the other technical skills with the ability to set up your own servers, the ability to kind of manage things. So you get all of these aspects, which at times, if you think about a game, it's basically, I put it in a system where I would load it up on a computer and then I hit play and I'm playing and that's it. But there's so many different levels with Minecraft that it can appeal to virtually everybody. And I think that's also one of the reasons why, in some cases, you see it being used and applied in so many different ways. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember that at times you'd have things like Oregon Trail or other games where it's like, oh, you can learn this. And now you have like Minecraft EDU, where you have Minecraft being used to help kids learn certain subjects. So the fact that it is that versatile, that multifaceted, really makes it something that, parents can look at and go, I have no problem with my kids diving in and exploring this world. I know exactly what they not only can get out of it, but also what they're probably going to explore. And there might not be any problems that I would have compared to other games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other thing that you made me think of is that because there are so many different modes, part of it as a parent is sort of figuring out what works for your kid, sort of what their style of learning is. Are they a child that loves constraints, loves kind of rules and kind of working hard over challenges? And in that case, something like adventure mode or the survival mode might be really good, because it's a world in which you have to manage resources, and you have to actually mine things in order to be able to build. And there's an ability to sort of die in the game and, kind of be reborn again, versus a kid who just wants to build stuff and has a creative imagination. And then a mode like creative mode is better, where it's unlimited resources, and it's really just about not having to compete against the world space in any way, and really just using it literally as a sandbox. So when we talk to parents, they often say, well, there's so many modes, I don't know where to start. And we often say, well, just let your kid lead. And if there's a mode that's sort of not working for them, you can always kind of gently nudge them toward a different one. And the world of Minecraft is very rich on YouTube. One of the things we hear from parents is, oh my gosh, my kid just watches YouTube videos about Minecraft. They don't actually play the game, but it is a place to go as a parent to sort of see what kids are doing, what kinds of things people are building, what the modes look like. And I know that some of the resources you guys put together, point to things that other people have made and other people have created. And so video as a sort of tool for learning about the game can be really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I wanted to actually build on with what you were saying is that the power of a child's imagination is so rich and it's so facile. And a game like this really kind of latches onto it. And it seems like it's one of those things where it's like it's not as quote unquote realistic as some of the other titles, but that's okay. In many ways, that also is part of the appeal of the sandbox, because any little object, any little box, any little segment of the world will become their world. And whatever story they want to tell, whatever adventure they want to be on, it becomes their space. And that is a really, really powerful thing, which also helps foster just so much creativity for kids. We've tried to track a lot of Minecraft on Common Sense, and we have a piece that is basically, we have multiple pieces on Common Sense Media. In fact, we basically have this one piece, which is everything you need to know about Minecraft. And in some cases, it's basically a hub article for a large number of pieces that we've done about the game. So even if you're a beginner, you're a parent that's kind of wondering why your kid is spending a lot of time on YouTube looking at videos, or is possibly interested in getting involved with the game or playing it on their console, or why they're borrowing your tablet or your phone or whatever just to play it or view it or whatever else, we try to walk you through. And that's everything from a glossary of terms to a list of YouTubers that are very popular nowadays that are doing a lot of Minecraft videos, to even just varying ideas of what exactly the game happens to be and how it might be okay for your kid to possibly play longer than you were expecting. We try to do that primarily because we've been getting the same number of questions from parents about, like, is this okay? My kid really seems really attracted to this game, and I'm concerned if that's going to really absorb their time. They were really interested in doing other things. Now all of a sudden all they want to do is Minecraft. So we really try to walk them through a lot of the basics and a lot of the concerns that they might have, so that they can also understand, like, hey, we get where you're coming from. We totally understand. Here's some information just to help you out. And then you can make the call on exactly whether it's right for your kid at this time, maybe you wait a little bit later, how you can all get into it as a family, or, just other baby steps. So it kind of demystifies the approach of and the magic of Minecraft, if you will.
No, that's great. Okay, so let's move on to the second question. So this is one that I have a special interest in because the work that we do at Connected Camps is in a multiplayer Minecraft server.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, again, for parents that may be new to Minecraft, there's single player mode. So that's where your child would be on the computer, basically playing against or with the computer. And then there's multiplayer mode where they enter the Minecraft space, and there's other kids in that space.
Right.
Or if it's in a public server, there might be, adults or grandparents, or, it's just all different kinds of people in that space working together. And for a lot of parents, there's anxiety about letting their child do multiplayer online, because suddenly it opens the door to the question of, well, what happens when my kid is in a space with a lot of other kids? Maybe I don't know these kids. So the first thing I'll say is that Minecraft, the version of Minecraft that's on the iPad or on mobile phones, allows your child to develop a closed network space where they're sitting in the same room. They can create what's called a little LAN, and they can basically play with each other inside a shared space with just the kids that they know, sort of in that room together. So that's the sort of baby version, training wheels version of it. And then there's a version where there are hundreds, thousands of public Minecraft servers available. Like a parent could create one, an organization like us can create one, schools can create them, and some are closed and some are open, and they're spaces that your child could join and have a chance to basically play the game with other kids in any of the modes. Play survival mode with other kids, play creative mode where they're building things, collaborating with other kids. And we find it incredibly exciting and beneficial for a lot of ways. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what we see some of those benefits being. And then Jeff, I'd love for you to jump in. So, the first thing that we see when kids join a multiplayer space and they're interacting with other kids is they simply have an opportunity to grow their communication and social skills. And we have a number of young people that we work with on our server that are have learning disabilities or are on the autism spectrum. And we hear continually from parents that this is a space where their kids are having an opportunity to really develop those social and communication skills, because they're doing it through, in a way, project-based learning by interacting around a shared interest, by building something together. So when your kid is collaborating on a team with 5 other kids or even 1 other kid to make an epic build, they learn about planning and collaborating and conflict, resolving conflict. Well, what do we do when I want to do this and this other person wants to do that? So in a way, it's an incredibly rich context for kids to experience in very authentic ways. Issues around kind of planning, resolving conflict, communicating, making friends. It's a big thing that we care about at Connected Camps is that we believe when kids can connect to other kids around a shared interest, that they find their people, right? They have a sense of belonging, they become part of a community, and they make friends. And it's one of the things, an outcome we care about on our servers is that kids make friends.
Right.
And because that really matters when you make friends with someone who has a shared interest. And then the other important thing about multiplayer is that because kids have all different kinds of expertise as they play, and it grows and changes, they have a very natural and reciprocal chance to share their expertise and learn from others. So it's a strong space for peer-based learning. It is a way of learning that we know really matters for kids, where they have a chance to show off their expertise for others, as well as get help in a way that isn't like an adult telling them what to do. So those are some of the things that we find are really true benefits of multiplayer play. Again, when you find the right server. So not all servers are kid-friendly, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But when it is a server that's kid-friendly and supports the kind of learning values that you have, there really are amazing possibilities for kids around the multiplayer play.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, again, in many cases, this also harkens back to the sandbox nature, but also the playground aspect. One of the things, especially if you watch kids play together that have a similar interest, there really isn't that much of a barrier, as much as it really is kind of, in some ways, the improv element of yes and, where it's like, oh yeah, you want to do that? Well, I want to do this. And the almost instinctual collaboration and teamwork that is kind of built can be seen. Not only on the playground, but clearly within Minecraft. It's one of those circumstances where, as a team in multiplayer, you really do come up with these strategies. In some cases, for people that are having trouble expressing themselves, they're not entirely sure where they fit, they're trying to figure out what exactly they do, all of a sudden, depending upon how they play or what they decide to explore and dive into, they can find their niche within the community as a whole. I've seen and spectated on different multiplayer games where all of a sudden you find somebody and everybody's like, oh, you know exactly what to do with the redstone. And all of a sudden you start seeing these builds, these elaborate machines come out from this one person who knows exactly how to place redstone to do very complex, complicated engineering-like tasks, where you're sitting there going, I'm pretty sure that in the real world, you'd have to have a doctorate degree to come up with how you're going to do this here, and they will just knock it out within, maybe 15, 20 minutes, because they're really skilled with that. Whereas others will know, oh yeah, if I do this, then I can have this kind of look or or shape to this building or to this object or whatever else it happens to be. The way that multiplayer works really is somewhat different than many other games, and it's very special. And I think that's also one of the strengths of Minecraft. There's a lot in the news when it comes to multiplayer about, some of the communities can be toxic. There's a lot of grief that sometimes happens. There's all these other things, and that does happen on some Minecraft servers. I won't try to say that it doesn't, but for the most part, the Minecraft community is very accepting, very welcoming, very encouraging, which is a very special thing, especially like not only on the internet or in gaming, but just as a whole. It's one of those circumstances where you can be completely new and somebody will take you under their wing, no questions asked. Like you can say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I just started. And you'll have 5 people go, hey, can I help you with this? What if I give you this tip? What about this here? And the friendliness that just kind of pours from the Minecraft community is so palpable. I mean, it's one of the reasons why the elements of things like Minecon for the convention, it's so highly attended. It's one of the reasons why the community, when it comes to YouTube and Twitch and some of the other streamers, they're so popular because a lot of them are so positive. It's really about coming up with other things, adventuring as a group, exploring the world, because you can make the world whatever you want the world to be. And that bond of community, especially for people that sometimes don't necessarily feel like they fit in, they feel like they're a little bit different, they don't necessarily know who their friends might be in the real world, can find this huge community that will welcome them for whatever they might happen to be, no questions asked. That is a powerful, powerful thing for virtually anybody. It doesn't really matter what your age is. You could easily find your people, your friends, your group, and feel like not only can you contribute, but you can also shine. And there are some people that sometimes don't have that. So it's a really powerful element for the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. So as I mentioned, some parents have some and very realistically concerns about, well, what happens when my kid goes online? How do I make sure that's a really positive experience for them? So there's a couple of tips that we tend to give parents, and again, Jeff, jump in if you have some others. So one is that you always want to sort of research the server first. Like, don't just let your kid just randomly click on servers. And one thing you want to look for is what's called a code of conduct. So all servers have a kind of code of conduct, which really describes the values of the servers, how they kind of write about and describe how they want the players on the server to be with each other. And you want to make sure that code of conduct is really clear. So as a parent, you want to understand, well, if my child does something that they kind of get in trouble about, like, what's the process? Do they reach out to the parent? Do they ban the kids from the server? Like, what are the words they use to describe the kind of community itself? And so you're trying to look for codes of conduct that align with your own values. So that's one really simple place to look. In all servers, if you look sort of at the top, this code of conduct will appear somewhere. Some are incredibly elaborate, and some are sort of more general. The second is that and I mentioned this earlier, you really want to look for kid-friendly moderated servers. And so we'll send out a link later. I wrote a post last year did a review of sort of the 10 sort of most kid-friendly Minecraft servers. And by kid-friendly, it means that they really, they're welcoming to kids, and that they're moderated. So there is adults or somebody that's really paying attention to the chat log, watching behavior that's happening on the server, making sure that it's staying as a positive and kind of productive space. So the notion of kid-friendly and moderated is something to look for. And again, in that post, I walk through some more detailed information on that if you're interested.
Yeah, if I could step in real quick, not only with the whitelisted servers, you definitely also wanted to check on the mod content that could also be added for some of those servers, because some servers will have some of the code of conduct spelled out, but all of a sudden there may be a mod that gets added that adds in other content that you really wouldn't necessarily want your kids to explore or to experience. And that can change radically. And sometimes the update on what is whitelisted doesn't always get updated as people mod their servers or tweak things, which also gives kind of a motivation for some players to make their own servers and moderate their own servers as well for their play sessions.
Yeah, so one thing, because Minecraft is so flexible, what Jeff is alluding to is that it's actually easy to modify and change and add on. And so you part of making gaming time really kind of productive and safe for your kids is really just being in conversation with them. We used to say, oh, it'd be really great if you play with your kids, but for a lot of parents, that's just like too high a bar. But you do want to be in conversation with them, communicate with them about their play, ask questions, like what are they working on? Most kids are just like thrilled to be the expert and show off what they're doing and that kind of thing. So you definitely want to keep lines of communication open and sort of be alert to sort of what your child is doing. And then last, griefing doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. And you just want to be, pay attention to it, but you also want to talk to your child about it, because a lot of griefing happens on accident. So, and your child actually may be a griefer. They don't mean to do it, but because they're new to a server and maybe they don't understand the rules, or they're new to the game, they don't really understand how it works. They might accidentally build on top of somebody else's stuff. They might see some stuff laying around and be like, cool stuff, take it, not realizing that it's somebody else's. So being able to like really talk to your child about, well, what happened? Why do they think what happened? How might they respond? It is a very teachable, it's a strong teachable moment for your child around, taking responsibility for things that happen, but also not jumping to conclusions, keeping lines of communication open. So griefing, we found even with parents on our servers, they often point to it as quite transformational moments for their kids, to watch how their child handled a situation where they accidentally grieved somebody and had to deal with the consequences, or that they were grieved by somebody else. And they were, we really support kids in trying to problem solve rather than sort of swooping in and solving it, as a parent.
Right. Actually, one of the little chat comments that popped up from Gretchen was asking if we could explain what griefing is. And the easiest way to explain it, Gretchen, is that think about some of the disagreements that kids have, but all of a sudden the comments start to become really, really aggressive. So you'll sometimes have, like Katie was saying, that maybe a kid builds on top of something else that another player was working on, and the person that felt infringed upon starts going, "Why'd you do that? That's really dumb. What are you thinking about?" And they just kind of take off. It's one of those circumstances where at times kids can frequently have those disagreements. It's in some cases, especially with griefers kind of saying some of these comments, it can be a really good instance for learning about conflict resolution, because a lot of times some of those people may have just like, oh, I was really thinking I wanted to do this, and then you messed that up. That can be undone, but you can also use that as a way to foster communication skills so that people have an idea about, like, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to do that. What if we do this? Or, hey, what if we undo that and we start working on this, and maybe this makes it better? But the thing is that most of the time, like Katie was saying, people are not going to be toxic. They're not going to be aggressive. Just like most kids, when they're interacting with each other in school, yeah, you might have one of those things where it's like, what are you thinking? Why would you do that? And they might go off on a little bit of a rant. But at the end of the day, it could just be an emotional outburst, as opposed to somebody intentionally trying to go after someone because they don't think that they belong or they shouldn't be doing things, and they really have they want to exclude or ostracize that kid. The one thing too about griefing as well, and about being a parent and working with your kid about this, is you can always spectate what your kid is doing. That's one of the easiest ways to have a sense of what could be going on a server, because you could just drop into spectator mode and see what your kid is playing. And if you see something, then that also gives you a springboard to have a conversation when your kid is not playing the game any longer.
Yeah, and then and griefing also can take the form of a player stealing the items from another player, or destroying something a structure that they've built. So it's basically doing something to another player that ruins the play. It's ruining the play experience for them, whether it's sort of verbal or it has something to do with the core gameplay. So we're kind of running out of time, but I think the last thing we wanted to do was point you to some resources that we think might be helpful to everybody around ways of supporting their Minecraft interest. So I know that Common Sense, they have two of these videos that we've listed here. One is like, well, God, these are the main things you got to know about Minecraft. And I particularly love the How to Speak in Minecraft video, which gives parents some language to sort of be on par with their kids. And then we've developed a couple of posts. One around activities that you can do off the computer with your family. So one way to connect with your kid around their Minecraft interest, it's not just them sitting at the computer, but they love Minecraft. So they want to write stories about Minecraft and bake cakes about Minecraft and do adventure maps that are not on the computer. So we have a post that just sort of 10 ideas of things you could actually do as a family. That's sort of Minecraft themed stuff. And it's a way for your family to participate in your children's kind of interest in Minecraft. And then we mentioned mods earlier. So mods are modifications to the game. So they're basically little pieces of software that you can download that change the game in some way. Sometimes it changes the overall gameplay, or sometimes it might just change something visual about the game or add a new element. Like there's a mod that adds farm animals, like baby farm animals. But then there are mods that are very targeted towards learning. So some that build on the kind of engineering component of Minecraft that allow kids to do stronger work in engineering. There's mods that focus kids around doing a kind of geology within the world. And so we have a post that kind of points to some of these mods. Again, depending on what your child's interest is, it changes the game and gives them another way to explore it. Did you have any other ones, Jeff, you wanted to point to?
I think especially for people that are just getting into the phenomena of Minecraft, I think those two videos by and of themselves really kind of help demystify a lot of the elements. I mean, for some kids, when they're really into playing Minecraft, it almost feels like they're speaking a separate language, especially if they're starting to go off about, mods and mobs and some of the other elements, which if you've played it for a while, it makes absolute sense to you. If you hear somebody say it, all of a sudden you're wondering, is there completely new slang going on? Did I miss something? What are they talking about? Like, should I be concerned about what this is? And it's something completely benign. But it's definitely one of those things where if you're just trying to demystify some of it, having an idea of like what the nether is, or a mob, or redstone, or all these other elements can really give you also a sense of like, oh, that's what this is. I understand it now. Now I'm not that concerned about this. Okay, tell me more. And it's another jumping off point. That's one of the things that we at Common Sense really like doing is fostering communication between parents and kids, especially about the things that they're interested in, so that they have ways of kind of coming together as a family and also finding new things that they might both be able to share.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so we just wanted to thank everyone who's been listening. And Jeff, it's been really fantastic to be in conversation with you. Really appreciate it. On the screen, I'm just sharing our kind of ways to connect with us via social. I think both our organizations, we love hearing from parents. We love getting questions about new kinds of resources that we can develop. We think Minecraft is pretty awesome and are always interested in finding ways to help parents connect to their kids' interests around that. So thank you so much. Both sides, we're going to follow up with everyone who's participated with an email that has the links to all the resources we've talked about. And that's also a chance for you guys to send us questions if you'd like. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Katie.
Okay, bye.
Bye.